questions already coming in. I love it. Okay, we're just gonna dive right into it. Let's go ahead and get started. Hello everyone. So excited we're here. You probably do know me by now, but for those of you who do not know me, my name is Samantha and I'm the Artistic Director with Aqua. So I really want to answer, like I said, all of your questions that you have for the entire V-Light system. So some of the questions are about the technology, some are about the adhesive, some are about the system in general, some are about the hair, some are about the application, the maintenance, the wear, all the things. So we'll start off with classes and education, and then we'll jump into what is V-Light, okay? So classes, education. If you've not saw already, if you look on our Instagram on the actual feed, you'll see we've posted some in-person and virtual classes that we are hosting all around the country. We also have all of those classes listed on our website. So if you visit www.aquahairextensions.com, click the V-Lights tab, click the V-Light tab, you will see all of the classes that we are hosting for the next few months. Are you able to book a course if you don't have, necessarily an Aqua rep? Absolutely. Please go online. Like I mentioned, we have all of our courses available. You can either book a course online with us, or you have a contact info to contact the distributor directly. So in addition to the V-Light system, we are launching in-person and virtual classes. So we do have an incredible education team ready to really get out there and dive into the V-Light education. So we're gonna discuss today during this live the different types of application and what they look like. You'll learn how to do that hands-on in the education course, as well as proper pre-prep of the guest's hair, like I said, the application, and then the aftercare, the guest's take home, right? Which really is super important with any extension system, but especially with the V-Light system. And then the burning question, how do I charge for this? How do I price my service? What does this typically cost, okay? So that will be covered fully in every education course that you take with us. So if there's a class that you would like near you, please go to our website, fill out the form, and request a class. If you don't see one in your area, or you're looking for a specific date, please go ahead and request a class, because we are constantly adding to that list. So first and foremost, what is the V-Light extension system? Okay, so the V-Light system is a newer technology of very much a temporary extension system that is incredible for fine hair. Okay, so who wave to me if you are an extensionist, right? You're offering extensions. Maybe you're offering our Q-weft, hand-tied weft, machine weft, one of our weft systems. But you have this whole other demographic of clients who are see-through or very, very fine, and you're like, I can't fit anything else there. I've tried to cut micro bonds, they're still too dense. I've put cylinders, they're still too dense. I have a guest who's thinning in her crown or on the top, and she's so fine, there's nothing that I can place there. Okay, the V-Light system is absolutely going to fill that need. So this is a lighted technology using adhesive. Okay, we're gonna talk about the different adhesives. It's a light technology using adhesive to cure single strands of hair extensions onto the hair. So one of the questions is, what does the machine look like? So we have our V-Light machine here. We have our V-Light guard. Now this guard is super important to protect the light from your guests' eyes as well as your eyes. So this machine should never be directly in the eyes. Now it is an LED machine. So an LED, it's not a UV machine, it is an LED machine. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on facing down. So it's really tough to see. I don't want to shine it directly into the camera, but it does have, you see the light turn on here. It automatically turns off after 8 seconds. And you'll learn this in our education classes, how many times to cure the hair properly dependent upon which technique you're using, but we always want to do a minimum of 3 cures just to ensure that the adhesive is cured properly. Next, what are the adhesives? What am I applying these extensions with? At Aqua, we have 2 adhesive types. One is black and one is clear, okay? Black and clear adhesive. Now, super important, before you ever open or use this adhesive, every single time, we have to shake for 30 seconds, okay? So we will just sit and shake our adhesive for 30 seconds just to ensure everything gets mixed properly. And again, you need to make sure you do this every single time before you begin applying. So 30-second shake, black and clear color. You would choose the color that matches their base color the best, okay? So clear will dry completely clear. It's pretty universal. However, the clear does have a little bit of a shine to it. So if your guest is a darker, I'd say anything darker than a level 7, the black adhesive is going to be your best bet. I'm gonna show you, I use a black adhesive on my mannequin here. The black adhesive is a little bit more matte, which is great for your darker hair clients. Next question, what hair do I use? Right? So you guys are talking about this V-Light system. Are you launching new hair to go with the V-Light system? Like, what is this, right? So the absolute best part of this is you can use any Aqua hair extension system that you already know and love or that we already have, okay? So there's not specific hair to use with the V-Light system. The V-Light system is just the application method, right? The application method, meaning the adhesive, the machine, curing hair, extension hair onto the guest's natural hair. The hair itself is any single strand of hair. So, for instance, what I can do is take a keratin fusion, right? One single strand of keratin fusion, one bond, cut the bond off and use the single hairs, okay? Yes, I truly mean the single hairs. So, what I'm gonna do is just show you a peek here at my mannequin and talk about what it looks like in the hair, and then we'll dive into all the ins and outs of the rest of the questions. So, you can see here, I have 3 applications of V-Light. I chose to use a blonde extension, so this way you can truly see the hair reflected against the mannequin. But what I love, and you'll learn this if you take our education course, we have 3 different types of application. Okay, so the biggest question we've been receiving, how long does this last? How long does the V-Light system last in the hair? The V-Light system will last 2 to 8 weeks dependent upon the application, okay? Also dependent upon the prep and dependent upon the at-home maintenance. Super important. So we have 3 different types of application. They all are used for various areas on the hair, okay? Dependent upon if they are super, super see-through and fine, or if they have a little bit more coverage. And also how the guest wants to wear their extensions, how long they need them to last, everything like that. So the first application technique I did here in the front is called our invisible light. So what that means is it is the most natural laying. It is that invisible V-Light extension that you probably see on social media right now that is very much invisible in the hair, okay? This first invisible method, it uses the least amount of adhesive, okay, the least amount of adhesive to apply. And this first technique will last roughly 2 to 4 weeks in the hair, okay? It is the most invisible, so it absolutely is placed in areas that are see-through, that you need this extension hair to mimic natural hair growth, and you do not see the bond, okay? The second application we call our blended light. Our blended light uses definitely a little bit more adhesive. It's not pulled apart quite as much. I know it's not quite as easy to see in the camera, but it's not pulled apart quite as much. And this second application technique will last 4 to 6 weeks in the hair. The third application here, we call this our bold light. So our bold light uses the most adhesive. It is drugged down the furthest. It has the most point of attachment. You can see it's not quite as invisible. So if this is applied into the hair, it's definitely still a beautiful, especially, you know, picture this hair extension color being the exact as the mannequin. It's going to still be a beautiful extension piece, but not quite as invisible. This bold light will last 6 to 8 weeks in the hair. We really dive deep and discuss why you would use each and who would benefit from all 3. So again, 2 to 8 weeks this extension system lasts. So you're probably saying 2 to 8 weeks. That's really not a long time in comparison to the other systems that I'm doing. Absolutely not. This is definitely a case-by-case application. It's not meant for a full head application, right? I would not take V-Light and take someone from a shoulder length bob and give them a full head to a long mermaid. Absolutely not. That is where your full head application systems come in. We would use V-Light to maybe extend a fringe, to fill in areas that are so super fine around the hairline, maybe fill in areas that are really fine in the nape. That is where your V-Light system is going to be beautiful and add that extra density while still being very hideable and invisible in the hair, mimic natural hair growth, but again, it's not going to last quite as long. So I like to compare V-Light extensions to eyelash extensions. Eyelash extensions need filled, eyelash extensions are going to shed, and they continuously will need filled maybe in 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the application they're wearing, okay? So V-Light is the same exact way. You get that initial application, and then they get filled every 2 to 8 weeks. As the hair is shed off, you would fill that hair back in. So again, this is an incredible system. I keep seeing questions on price. So price will absolutely depend upon how much hair you're applying, okay? On average though, each guest, just for fill-ins, they're going to use maybe 5 to 30 grams of hair. It's not much hair that's being applied by any means. It's a very, very little amount of hair. So on average, that initial cost could be anywhere from $50 to $200 for those fill-in pieces, and then they come back and get filled. And that fill price could also be anywhere between $50 to $200, depending on your demographic, your education experience, and your overall pricing menu, right? We really dive deep in our education courses to help you develop an entire pricing menu. We make it super simple. We give you charts and a pricing structure so you leave there confident to go ahead and just start diving right into your pricing menu. Okay. Question that I'm seeing is a really, really good question. Why Aqua V-Light versus other brands of V-Light? Okay. V-Light is, like I said, a newer technology, and there are other brands that have launched V-Light. Unfortunately, what we have saw out in the market though is like fake V-Light applications out there, fake V-Light systems. So please be careful when you are ordering V-Light. They're not all the same. The light may be a little different, the adhesive may be a little different, just like any other like black marketed adhesive. So, I've saw it in forums, I've saw this V-Light light and adhesive does have a patent, and it is proprietary to this exact system. So just be careful if you're ordering directly from China. If you are ordering on Amazon, it may not be exactly the same, okay? So with us at Aqua, our V-Light system is what we guarantee only. We cannot guarantee any other V-Light technique, any other adhesives out there. We can only guarantee what we sell here through us at Aqua. Another question, how soon can you book a class? Our very first class that we're offering is end of July 28th, and it will be held in Texas. So we have that very first class at the end of the month, and then all of our classes to follow directly after that. Another burning question, how are V-Light removed? How do you remove the V-Light system? So we do have a remover solvent. It looks like this, okay? A remover solvent, and this is what you would remove your V-Light extensions with. And then we also have a remover gun that looks kind of similar to our keratin fusion gun. It's not the same. Please do not use your expensive high-end keratin fusion gun to remove your V-Light application, but we have a remover solvent in the V-Light gun. So you would apply your remover solvent, let it sit for 2 minutes, and heat the remover solvent up with your remover gun. The remover gun does have a little bit of a perforated tip. Heat up the bond and they completely remove out. Like very, very simply, they slide right out. So again, we're gonna discuss this in our education course, but they don't have to be fully removed every single time. They are filled, so just like your eyelash extensions, some would shed off over that course of 2 to 8 weeks, and then you completely fill them, okay? So someone's asking, how much does the V-Light kit cost? So we currently are not selling the V-Light kit separately. They do come included with our education. So that is something we will look into for the future, but currently the only thing that you can buy separately is our adhesives, okay? Our comb, and solvent. So that is what you can purchase separately. The entire kit does come included with our education courses. Great question. Can you color with the bonds in? Definitely do not recommend, because the maintenance is what's super important on the V-Light system. They are very, very, very fragile. Any color directly on the bonds will remove the bond, okay? Any product directly on the bonds will remove the bond. Any heat directly on the bonds will remove the bond, and even not blow drying, okay? Letting the hair air dry will relinquish the bond. So I never recommend to color with the extensions in unless you are staying fully away from where the bond is. So let's say your bonds are on the side and you do just a very small mohawk, absolutely. But something like a gloss, I would not recommend to gloss with them in. I would line it up to where you do your gloss when you're ready for the full removal. Okay, another great question. Can you swim with them in? This is the $1 million question. Can you swim with them in? You can really do anything, right? Can you swim with your wefts in? Yes. You know, we have to take some precautions, right? So with the V-Light system, they are very, very fragile. So chlorine and salt water can absolutely start to remove the bond. I've had personal guests that have swam, taken, you know, all the precautions. They've swam with their V-Light. Definitely they've shed some, but they came back with still, you know, extensions in their hair. And then I've had guests swim in the ocean, in the salt water, and, you know, really rigorous swimming, like letting their hair fly around, and they came back with no V-Light left in their hair. So it's definitely, there's a fine line between getting your hair wet in, you know, chlorine or salt water. I recommend not to, because prolonged moisture, prolonged water in the hair will unfortunately relinquish those bonds. So I recommend, if your guests want the maximum amount of wear on their V-Light system, we recommend no swimming, okay? So I'm just gonna hold my phone here and scroll up. I know we had quite a few questions in here that I definitely wanna get to in these last few minutes. Oh, I love it. I see lots of, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to learn. I am so excited for you. Okay, this is a good question. Can it be used on hair growing back from chemo that's about 2 inches long? Great question, and I would absolutely say, first consulting, just like anything, consulting with their physician to make sure their hair's strong enough. But what I love about V-Light, it is so very, very gentle on the hair. So 0 damage whatsoever, as long as, right, it's applied properly, maintained properly, and removed properly. However, it's very, very, very light on the hair. So I've applied the V-Light system as small as 1.5 inches of hair. Beautiful, because it is strand for strand, right? We're not taking, I would never take a huge chunk of hair extensions and use one of our bold lights, right? Meaning the bold light has the most adhesive, the most amount of hair in it, and attach it to a small fragile piece. In that instance, Rylan 10, I would recommend, if their hair is only a few inches long, doing more of our invisible application, okay, our invisible light, and applying that more strand for strand, keeping them very, very broken up, very invisible. But again, the downfall to that would be they don't last quite as long. But someone who has only a few inches of hair definitely gives them that look. I do see a question I actually want to answer. It says, how do the in-person and online classes differ? Great question. So if you've taken either our in-person or virtual classes previously, they both have an educator live with you. So in person, you will have an educator that is, you know, teaching the class. And on our virtual courses, there is an educator live on Zoom with you that's teaching the entire course with you. So the only difference would be like in person, right? Having an educator come around and physically being able to show you, you know, grab your hands, help hold, you know, grab your mannequin, show you something in person versus through a screen. That is the only difference. What is the shelf life of your adhesive? Great question. If it's unopened, it'll last for 1 year. Okay. If it is opened, it has a 6-month shelf life, but it has to stay in a cool, dark place. That does not mean in the refrigerator. The refrigerator will ruin your adhesive. And that also does not mean let it sit in your trunk overnight in the heat. It will ruin your adhesive. Okay. It has to stay. I would recommend to keep it in a drawer, in somewhere that stays nice and dark and is nice and cool, room temp. Okay. No, I get it. It's summer here. It's probably warm in some of your climates. Just make sure that you don't forget your adhesive in the direct sunlight or in your car, because it will not work. Okay. It's not going to have the shelf life. It's not going to give you that longevity that it should. Do the adhesives have an odor? That's a good question. Pauline, do the adhesives have an odor? There is an adhesive smell to it, right? I like to compare it I can't figure out what exactly it smells like, but there is an adhesive scent. You know, full transparency, there is an adhesive scent. I would say, you know, if you're in a nail salon, right, and there's good ventilation in the nail salon, you can walk in and you're like, I can tell we're in a nail salon. It's not going to smell like that. You're not going to walk into your salon and instantly be like, oh my gosh, it smacks you in the face with a chemical smell. Definitely not. But there is a smell to it as soon as it comes out of the bottle. It's a very light smell. So I would definitely recommend, you know, if you're in a suite or something, make sure you have ventilation, just like anything. If you're doing color, I wouldn't say it has any more of an, you know, quote unquote odor than what like hair color or lightener would be. No, but it is a chemical, right? And it does have a somewhat of a smell, or, you know, somebody said odor to it. And you can smell that as soon as it comes out of the bottle. It doesn't make a different smell when it's cured. It's just adhesive. So I think of like, you smell Elmer's glue, right? Elmer's glue has a scent. Super glue has a scent. Nail glue has a scent. This adhesive has a similar scent like that. Oh, great question. Oh, red hairstylist. Hey, girlfriend. Can the adhesives be mixed? That's a great question. They can. They absolutely can. We've tried it. There's really not a reason to. Unless you mean mixed in the sense of certain areas of the head have one color and other areas would have another. I wouldn't recommend to physically mix them on that same bond, because one is more matte, one is more shiny, and when they mix, they just look a little funky. Just from personal experience, we've all tested it out. There's really not a reason to mix them, and there's no benefit to mixing them. The only time I would say is, I don't know, maybe you run out of one and you need to swap to another one, but I would swap on another bond, not necessarily that same bond. How is it for thinning in the top bang area? That is exactly where I would use it, hands down. It is incredibly beautiful when someone is thinning, like thinning throughout the top, thinning throughout the sides, maybe postpartum hair loss, any hair loss reason, absolutely stunning. So if any of you are watching this and maybe you're not an extensionist, right? Anybody not an extensionist and you're like, I really want to jump into extensions, but maybe I have an older clientele. Maybe, you know, you don't have the time within your schedule currently to dive in and learn a whole extension system, in the sense of like a, you know, wefts, fusion, something like that. Relight would be a great place to start, because if you have, let's say, an older clientele, you have a clientele that does have some hair loss challenges, this is a perfect place to start, or a perfect system to add to your resume in addition to what you're already doing. I can promise you, you're going to capitalize on a whole different demographic in your clientele that may have not been extension clients previously, okay? I will say at my salon, there are 8 of us doing extension, 9 of us doing extensions, all that have now taken the V-Lights application, dove into it with their clientele, and we have about 60 new clients, or clients that are current clients of ours now wearing V-Light that would have never wore extensions before. And it gave them the confidence like you have no idea, right? No idea. They were so thin and fine around the side, super self-conscious, and gave them that beautiful fullness that no other system we've ever offered that could. Okay. The very last question that I saw pop up here, do you have to be a licensed cosmetologist? You have to be licensed or in beauty school. Okay, so if you're in beauty school, we can definitely get you registered for one of our courses. You just need your course approval from your beauty school and your student ID, but you do have to be a licensed stylist or in beauty school. And if you're not and you're watching, definitely go to our website and find a licensed Aqua stylist near you in order to get the application, okay? Awesome, this was so much fun, guys. I want to make sure I did anything and everything I can to make you even more excited about the V-Light launch, just like we all are. If you have any more questions, which I'm sure you will, please comment any additional questions that you have. We will absolutely make sure that we answer them. Also, if you have any other questions that you'd feel more comfortable reaching out, you can message us directly, DM us on Instagram, Aqua Extensions, DM me on Instagram if you'd like, at Sharpie_J. I would love to make sure that we get anything and everything answered for you. And I really hope to see you in one of our education classes coming up, and I will see you all soon. Bye.